Pokevlog number 4. After the other day breezing through Ocean City and seeing just how many Pokemon there were to catch there, I was excited to return to Ocean City and spend the better part of the day in the area, and I caught a ton of new Pokemon. Whether it's the city, or the fact that the city is on an island, or the time of day, or my level, or the number of Pokelores that were used in the area, or just the number of Pokestops set up by tourism and schools and libraries and so forth, I can't really say what it was that made Ocean City such a great place to find Pokemon. Maybe it was many of these different factors all happening at once, or maybe the game is just better in cities than it is in less populated areas, as I've heard. But I can definitely now confirm that the city had a lot more to find. There were a good number of water Pokemon out there because Ocean City is a city near water, but I found a lot of other types as well. I caught my first Meowth. I encountered a Hitmonlee who ran away. I got a Slowbro and a Slowpoke. I got my very first Pikachu here. I know it's possible to find a Cyber, but I didn't actually catch one. There was a Psyduck out there. Lots of Krabbies, a couple of Kindlers. Just so many interesting things that were out there in the game. I did have some interesting experiences with the concept of Pokestops and Pokelores. When you place a Pokelore at a Pokestop, you basically get to sit down and rest while the Pokemon come to you, rather than the other way around. The Pokemon that generate at the Pokestop once the lure is in place seem to come from all sorts of different areas, not just the ones suggested by the potential encounter bots. And since these Pokelores have to be set up by other players, it's a good way to meet other players. These players could be interesting people to talk to, or they could be people who took off and have gone absent from the spot where they started the lore, who for whatever reason never stayed the entire 30 minutes. It could even be, in my particular case, encounters with people that you haven't seen in quite a long time. But regardless, it's definitely a lot of fun to go to a place full of flowery little hearts showering down and a person's name attached to the door, and to all of a sudden start seeing all sorts of Pokemon just coming to you. And the added excitement to this experience is when you start recognizing names that you've seen before, and you start realizing that you're encountering people again and again, and you start to build some kind of socialization. I've also noticed that as my level has gone up and I've started encountering more rare Pokemon, it's also encountering stronger common Pokemon. Catching Pokemon with the Pokeball alone is becoming a lot harder, and it's going to be a lot more experience gaining between the last time I leveled up and the next time I leveled up. When I was leveling up from the beginning of the game, I was gaining levels every few minutes. Now it might be quite a lot more time between each of the level gains. I might have to start doing more to get my experience up, like catching every Pokemon instead of just certain ones, or trying my absolute hardest to utilize things like lucky eggs and so forth to boost the amount of experience that I get in between leveling up. I'm going to have to eventually start experimenting with new locations and catching Pokemon at new times of the day, but I'm not sure when I'll have time for really expanding my horizons beyond what I've already experienced. But I can definitely say without a doubt that going into more city-fied areas gets you a lot more Pokemon experiences than if you just stay home in a small town. But it's not impossible for small towns to have quality encounters either. If your town has any sort of historic value or any kind of recreational value, it probably will have enough Pokestops to keep you leveling up for a good long time. In the end of my city going experience, I was surprised by the large number of varieties I was finding. Water types popping up all over the water system, but also plentiful electric types, usually near traffic lights and such, but also near other areas where electric types weren't really expected. Even fire types and psychic types and poison types were popping up a little more frequently these days. And there's a certain excitement value to the Pokemon you could potentially catch. I may have had a encounter with either a Ghastly or a Coffin at some point in my experience as well, but I can't really be sure. I saw something that had a round shape to it and was puffing out smoke or some kind of purplish aura, but I wasn't sure what it was. The game glitched out and I missed a chance to see exactly what I was trying to catch. In fact, I had a couple of glitches that were unique to my city going experience that I haven't encountered in the less populated areas. The game did a lot more freezing up, lagging, glitching, losing its signal, and so forth. Where, when I was away from the city, the worst thing that would happen to the game is it would either temporarily lose an internet signal, freeze the character up so he would stop moving, or it would just hit a dead zone where nothing was encounterable whatsoever. Anyhow, that's about all the thoughts I have for this particular vlog. Thank you for listening, and good night.